The exact distribution of something that is uneven between two people. I think this should be our discussion, that we have something which is of certain quantity or of certain amount, and it has to be distributed among two people who are, you may say that, let's say there is a girl and a boy in a family, and there are only two children. And actually the concept of inheritance and the concept of division is not at all complicated, but since this concept is like ultimately connected to the blood relations, and it has to be explained always with reference to the blood relations. Now actually when I was studying this book, it was written that Matilda father had a business and he was dealing in second hand stuff. And we also discussed that sometimes if we have some second hand stuff, and if we get some second hand stuff from some other person, then we should not feel bad about it. And then I wanted to correlate this concept with the fact that whenever the concept of inheritance comes, or property, or some materialistic stuff division among people or children, then why people don't bother to consider the property or the inheritance stuff as a bad thing, because it is second hand stuff? Why people always consider that only, for example, if a mother passes on a knitted sweater or a knitted bag or a like a bag which was actually bought from the shop, and it was used by the elder daughter and then it was passed on to the younger daughter, then why children face bad feeling when it comes to this kind of procedure, and they do not feel any kind of bad feeling when it comes to the handing down of the second hand property? Because parents used it and then they divided it in among their children who are alive, and obviously if they used it, that it means that this is the legacy. The legacy is always passed on. The legacy is always second hand stuff. The legacy is not something which is actually very unique or new. Legacy is always something which is very antique. Then if we talk about some museums, or we talk about certain planetariums, or we talk about certain locations which are very you may say that they are very different, and for example, there is a museum and there is something that actually it is placed in that, and people are very fascinated to look at it, right? If you ever have visited any museum, you will see that people are actually very fascinated and amazed to see the stuff which is actually placed in random containers, and surprisingly that has a huge worth of money. Like, its price is worth a lot of money, but why? Who actually fixes these scenarios, or who actually fixes these amounts? This is actually very important, because a lot of discussion is actually correlated to this. I think if when I observe this behavior from the society, like whenever it comes to the fact of a museum, and people are going there and they are visiting every nook and every corner, they are observing every painting, or they are observing abstract arts, or they are observing certain stuff which is actually not even according to the latest trend of our own time. For example, there is a certain car which was actually used by some person, let's say thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago. But why that car has that kind of importance to be placed in the middle of that museum and highlighted with a lot of limelight? Why? Like, have you ever considered this thought? Why a particular stone has a lot of importance? Because it's just a stone. Who defines its worth? Who defines its value? Like, why the human beings are fighting over the materialistic stuff or materialism? Whereas if they go to a certain place like a antique place or a museum or a planetarium, they will see that they are not allowed to touch anything. They are not allowed to step the bars or cross the bars to reach that particular stuff. Why people behave in those places, but why they do not behave in their own homes with their own families? Why do they only act good when they are under any public place? Or why do they only behave well when they feel that someone is watching, or someone is always constantly listening to them, or there is some sort of surveillance? So human beings will be kind of selfish if they feel that we are only going to behave in a better way when somebody is watching or somebody is listening or somebody has a constant surveillance on us. Why they do not behave well in their own rooms, or why they do not behave well, certain individuals, not all, why they do not behave with each other in a good way, and do not know that they were not created without any purpose? Why don't they feel that they have a purpose? They have to live on this earth for a certain period of time, and then when the time is up, they will be taken up. And there is a life after this life. As well, as a Muslim, there is our strong belief in the Quran that there is a life after this life as well, but only Allah knows that how it is going to end, or how it is going to be, or how it is going to be changed. But I think personally that being a human, or being an animal, or being any living being, we should not be hypocrites. Like, we should not be hypocrites. Like, we should not just be afraid of any human, but we should be ultimately be afraid of the Lord, our Creator. Why? Because He has created all this universe. Allah has created everything. Allah has created every single stone, every single thing, every single being, whether it is an animal or human, or even some spiritual beings. So even ghosts, everything has been created by Allah. So why not like certain spiritual beings are called jinns, right?